I really wanted to dial deep into what it takes to be an entrepreneur. All the successful people, like I'm talking about every single successful person under the sun that is coming from a state of wanting to share with other people the route to freedom, they're going to tell you this one thing, and that is to find your why. Your why is so important here because as you become very clear with where your destination is, the universe has a beautiful way to start allowing the steps that you need in order for you to propel into that next step to solidify. What's going on, guys? Alexa Penga here with another episode for Walking Manifestator. I wanted to share this perspective from you, from somebody that is still actively working on everything that I am building, and not just come from a perspective of maybe what we feel sometimes gurus or mentors or coaches in the industry, whatever industry you're looking into, might sell you on, which is sometimes, hey, buy my course and I'll show you all the tips and tricks, right? So, with that being said, I really want to give you 7 key points for you when you are looking to start into your entrepreneurship, and essentially also share some back context about how I did that transition. And maybe this is something that actually helps you make that decision whether you want to be an entrepreneur or not. Okay, so as we move forward, I want to ensure that we're very clear about your why. Now, we've talked about this in another episode, and I want to really solidify that again. Because if you pay attention, and this is something very interesting, as you start becoming aware, you realize that all the successful people, like I'm talking about every single successful person under the sun that is coming from a state of wanting to share with other people the route to freedom, they're going to tell you this one thing, and that is to find your why. Okay. If you are not very clear on what your why is, and I use this example, it's like going to the airport and telling the person that sells us the tickets, hey, I am looking to go somewhere. And they're like, sure, where would you like to go? And you're looking at them like, well, I don't quite know where I'm going. They would look at you like if you are just not fully comprehending how the airport works, right? So it's the exact same thing when it comes to life. It's the exact same thing when it comes to the journey that you're on right now. And as you guys have probably heard by now, if you're new to, the podcast, then I want to solidify the reason why the show is called Walking Manifestator is because you are manifesting at every single point in your life, whether you're doing consciously or unconsciously. Okay. Now, your why is so important here because as you become very clear with where your destination is, the universe has a beautiful way to start allowing the steps that you need in order for you to propel into that next step to solidify. So I'll give you a for instance. When I first started my entrepreneurship, you get my point, right? Becoming an entrepreneur. I remember that I was working at a call center. So this was like right before I stepped into just being self-employed. I was still with, the call center. I had not fully left yet. And this was around the age of 19 years old, 19, 20 actually. So at this point in time, just to give some back context, I'm currently 26. Okay. So this is something that I share because I feel like so many people, they don't like to be vulnerable with like sharing the details of how they were able to achieve what they did. But the reality is that nowadays we want to hear how that was possible for somebody in order for us to realize how possible it is for us. So, long story short, I stopped working at the call center. I was still working at the call center, sorry, but I was starting to work as a life and health insurance agent. Now, as I got that license, I remember that I saw something in one of the seminars that we went to that just enlightened me. I had never in my life seen what it was like to have people talking about buying homes for their parents and creating like legacies in the age that they were at, which was in their 20s. Okay. So for me, I was like, yeah, no, like this is definitely unrealistic to me. As I continued to see all of these things, it really inspired me to essentially tell myself that I wanted more out of life. I really went all in when it came to the life and health insurance. I remember literally studying everything under the sun, trying to just understand it more. I was prospecting. I was telling people, hey, like I'm a life and health insurance agent. If you need anything, I remember I was really, really not financially, I wasn't as broke as I was at one point in my life, as I had shared with you guys in one of my first episodes. But I remember that at that point, I was probably making about $16,000 a year. And that obviously, as you know, is not enough to survive. So at this point, I was trying to just manage as much as I could to start advertising, to start sharing wherever I could that I was a agent for life and health insurance. Now, the reason why I keep coming back to the why is that regardless of all the no's I got, regardless of all the rejections, regardless of all the people that were questioning me being a life and health insurance agent, I always knew within me that regardless if it was that career or another, I was going to make it happen. I knew within my heart of hearts that I wanted to have a better life for me and my son at that time, because I was a mom already for my 1 year, my oldest son. So long story short, as that happened, I remember that it was something that for me, I found a passion with just trying to grow. That was like my first why. And as I embarked this journey, so many people shared with me that you need to get a why that is bigger than what you can even like fathom. And I remember at that time, I started my why, like as much as it was like, trying to provide for my kids and just growing. I remember setting a very clear intention with how much money I wanted to make. And at that time, my goal was 100,000. Okay. So I was like, I really want to make 100,000. And I remember literally, okay, anywhere that I would have to submit an application or something, I would always be saying 100,000, 100,000, 100,000. And now that I look back at it, it was a manifestation. It was very, very clear where I was trying to go, which was what allowed me to have the next stepping stones in my life that really propelled me into where I'm at and where I continue to grow into. Now, when you're growing a business, if you know what your why is, the rest is something that you can start figuring out. However, and one of my coaches said this, Sharon Trevista, and he was talking about how when you are in a situation where you're getting systems, because there's a lot of people that they're like, I need a system, right? I need you to give me like all the details of how I need to essentially grow this business, right? Like, tell me all the systems. I'm an analytical person. Don't talk to me about mindset. And look, somebody can sit there and give you literally word by word everything, every single system that they've had that was successful for them. And at the same time, that same successful system completely bomb in your face simply because you didn't have the mindset, simply because the first time that the weather hit a little harder than you were intending it to, you give up. Or simply because somebody said something in a way that you didn't want to, you give up. So when you're very, 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 very dialed into what your why is, nothing is going to allow that to deter you from your end result. So that would be my number one tip for you. And as I mentioned to you all in a previous episode, I have now grown my business into over 6 figures and it continues to grow. Now I'm starting another business, and this is going to be related to like coaching programs. I have another business that is going into e-commerce, and I'll tap into this next point here, which is going to be something that I've heard so many people talk about, but again, I want to share my perspective. And that's, don't start opening up all these different businesses under the sun. Make one happen. And here's my perspective. I do agree that you have to go full in into one business and grow it. I 100% did that with my real estate career. However, I have heard many people say nowadays you need to just focus on one, and until you're done with that one, then you can move on to the next one. I don't believe that's true. And Gary Vee is a prime example of that. If you don't know who Gary Vee is, search him up, but he is like a guru with, being an entrepreneur. And he has multiple successful businesses. And you might think, yeah, well, now, right? But when he started a business and he moved on to the next business. He moved on to the next business. And it wasn't like he was finishing one business to move on to the next one. He just had a very clear intention with where he saw that business going and where he was looking to move forward to. So for me personally, if you're looking to become an entrepreneur, don't let anybody tell you, oh, you have this successful business going on now. Don't focus on anything else because that's not going to work. That's not true. That's just their truth and that's just their reality. However, based off what multiple people have shared, it's actually going to help you solidify where you're looking to grow and have an exit strategy if you are planning on exiting the business that you're looking to open. Or maybe that's not the case. And maybe you want to keep a legacy going and you want to pass that down. And maybe from revenue that comes in, you decide, hey, I want to move into this other business, right? So being very intentional is super important. Now, with that being said, one of the first tips I have for you is going to be your niche. When you're starting a business, you really want to find out what is your niche, because where you have your business and where you're trying to grow it is going to be, it's going to look very different at the beginning versus how your end result is. And if you don't know who it is that you're marketing to, what services you're supposed to have in order for you to really attract that ideal client that you want to service, your business is going to be out of business very, very quickly because you don't know who you're trying to attract. So, for instance, we work with a lot of investors, first time home buyers, and military clients. So that's like our primary focus. We have sellers in that mix as well, of course, but I'm just going to give one quick example. Now, the reason why I would use this as a niche is because a lot of them, sometimes they're first time investors or they are first time home buyers. So we already know what is required for us to share with them up front in order for them to feel comfortable with the process. Now, when it's a seasoned investor that we work with, or maybe a client that's now buying a home that is above the median average that we would experience, we know how to communicate with them because we know that they're not going to be somebody we're going to talk to the same way as we would talk to our first time clients. It's the same thing for you. If you know what your niche is, you're going to know how to really make sure that you are providing value to each and every single one of the clients that are your ideal clients that you are going for. Okay. Now, another very important thing that I feel most of us don't consider is developing a business plan. So, if you are looking to start a business, we go back to that why, right? You have your why, you have a clear intention with where it is that you're trying to market this. Now, you need to really be very, very clear on your business plan. And this is something that I struggled for the first years because my first year in real estate was super slow. Like it was slow to the point where I probably closed around like 3 transactions, like slow. My second year, I 10x that. I closed 20 transactions. My third year, I doubled that. My fourth year, I doubled that. So every year it kept growing. However, the first times where I was kind of just running around like a chicken with my head cut off, I didn't really know what I was doing. I wasn't really tracking. I wasn't really in a situation where I felt that I had clarity on what my standard operating procedures were. SOPs for you that are familiar with the lingo. So, your standard operating procedure is super important because now you know what to expect. What you're supposed to do in order for you to receive whatever it is that you are looking to obtain, right? So, for instance, I have an SOP now for my assistant. She knows what it is that I need help with so that we can have a very clear and concise communication. And I'm going to make a quick little side note here. When you get to the point where you're hiring people that are working with you, please remember that they're working with you and not for you. People tend to leave when you treat them as if they're not an equal. And I understand to some people out there, they're probably going to think like, no, well, they're your employee and that's how you should treat them. And if that's you, then maybe again, we can agree to disagree. But based on how I've lived my life with the people that I at one point in time was training, when they were my assistants and I didn't actually know essentially how to be a good leader yet at that point, I wasn't somebody that was really caring about what were their perspectives, how could they bring a fresh approach, what it was that their needs were. It was just about me and where I wanted the business to go. And that's the type of tyrant attitude that you honestly don't want to have, because people will start to leave you very, very quickly and you have to rebuild everything all over again. And obviously, that is karmic law. If you treat somebody a certain way, that's just going to come back to you. So, just a quick little tip there that I really think I now wish I would have implemented sooner. But again, at the end of the day, it's just about growing and getting better every single day. Now, another very important part is going to be to learn your financial management. And this is a fun one because a lot of the times when you are in a situation where, let's say, your business takes off, and let's say you're in a situation where now you are selling a successful e commerce business, you have money coming in, and you're just like living life. The thing with that is that because of the fact that most of us, and again, it just depends on where you're at on your story and your, journey, but most of us haven't necessarily been taught how to actually manage money. Yeah, they might teach you, this is where you can invest some of this money and this is where, you can essentially put it on this type of account, and maybe that's all good. But at the end of the day, if you come from backgrounds like I do, which was like literally no money, and coming into a check of $10,000, if you don't know how to manage that wisely, you are going to burn that $10,000 within a blink of an eye, because you never really had a different belief system around what that money is actually supposed to represent. Now, as I've talked to you guys in the past, I do believe strongly in, the laws of the universe, which is essentially the law of vibration. And money is a tool. Money is just a vibration. It's just a frequency. So this is not to say for you to be in a state of lack and for you to feel like I can't spend it. I can't buy myself something. I work so hard for it. It's not to say that. The interesting part here is that you just want to ensure that you are putting yourself in a situation where you really know, okay, this is where I am going, this is what I am building, and this is where I would like to invest. Because if you don't have a clear and concise end result with what it is that you just got, this money is going to literally disappear like water and you didn't do anything meaningful with it. Money comes and goes, and we've all heard that saying. But as you get better in actually managing it, you realize, oh, I need to invest it here. Oh, I need to do this. And these are all little things that I personally wish somebody would have shared with me. Sometimes I would see videos online. They would talk about, putting them into life insurance and putting money in like a CD and putting money into real estate. But until you don't see yourself in that situation, you don't really think about these things. And then when it's sometimes too late, you've already spent the money and now you realize, oh, I should have managed that in a better way, right? So definitely being very, very, very clear with where it is that you want to be in terms of, again, your finances and where you're investing it is going to definitely help you. And another very important tip is going to be build a strong network. Now, I am definitely a firm believer of this one because once upon a time, I was the type of person that was just like, no, I don't need anybody in my sphere. I don't want to communicate with anybody. I just want to sell and I want to be the best realtor. And that is all I care about. Well, life quickly humbled me at that because as I've now learned is you want to build a community. You want to build a relationship with other people that actually value what it is that not only you stand for, but also whenever you are now acting in the best interest of everybody involved, that is going to show. And now people that have maybe worked with you once and there's somebody new that's wanting to work with you, those same people are going to be the ones to recommend you. I'll give you for instance. So there's been times where I write up an offer and there's agents on the other side that I have had a good transaction with and that we've been able to close and that we got everything situated on both ends to the best of our abilities, not only them for their seller and me for my buyer, but overall the communication was great. And then there's other times where there's agents that are completely rude, don't meet deadlines, just leave a bad experience to whoever is representing the other party. And it can make that decision definitely swayed one way or the other. And I actually had that happen. One of the clients that had received an offer, we essentially had multiple offers, and I shared with them, like, look, these are all the offers, these are all the facts. I just want to let you know that these are situations that have happened in the past that I want to make you aware of, because I don't want to be in a situation where I didn't disclose everything to you and it wasn't the most ideal transaction. And a lot of the times they'll be like, nope, I don't care if it's more money. I want to move forward with this other person because they're reliable. So by having a community, it's definitely going to help you grow. And not only that, but we are like biologically engineered to be people that want to be with other people. Like, you can dispute me all you want on that, but if you do your research, it will show we like to be with other people. We feel lonely when we're by ourselves. And maybe you've conditioned yourself to believe you like to be by yourself, because that was me. But the reality is that we don't like to be by ourselves. We actually like to be with other people, and we thrive in situations where we're around other people because we're really pushing ourselves forward. I recently got a new trainer at the gym, and it's crazy because I knew that I was working out already these past months, but now within a week, actually 2 weeks of now working out with him, I'm like, "Oh my gosh, like, you're really, really pushing me to the next level." So, being around people is definitely going to play a huge impact on your growth and in how well you're going to communicate with other people that are going to also help your business succeed. Now, another key important part, and this is going to be leveraging digital marketing. So, this kind of taps into the whole situation we talked about when it comes to your niche, right? Because a lot of people nowadays, they're just so consumed with wanting to say, no, I do not like social media. I don't want to use social media. I don't like videos. I don't like being vulnerable in front of a camera. And although that's fine and that's your right, nowadays we're in a situation where people only do business with people that they know, like, and trust. And a lot of the times, maybe at one point in life, it was just about the expertise that they had. And if the person had a suit and was saying that they sell life insurance, you actually believed them, right? You felt like they had your best interest. Now we're in a situation where we feel like, is this person really having my best interest? So the reason why leveraging digital marketing is so important is because it kind of like falls into a bucket of not only making videos, not only posting content, but also ensuring that you're staying top of mind with your clients, right? Making sure you're sending them thoughtful emails about maybe a new change that's happening in their city that's going to affect them, or maybe something that's related to a new product that they're interested in. I'm giving examples, obviously, based off like what I've encountered, but you can apply this to anything, right? If you're starting a cooking show, if you're starting a travel show, like, all these new things are going to be things that you really want to make sure you're using digital marketing to ensure that it enhances your business versus you feeling like this is too much. And ironically enough, today in one of our meetings, we were at the government affair meeting, and a person there was asking for a piece of paper because he did not want the forms that we send, that we have to typically get signatures on via email. He wanted it to just be handed to him there in person. And he was like, "Oh, why do you guys have to make everything so much harder? Like, why can't it just be on my like regular pencil? I'll sign it right here." But that's the thing, guys. Like, nowadays, where society is, we have evolved so, so much. And the quicker you get on board with the fact that things have changed, the easier it's going to be for you to really take advantage of this market. I recently, and I mentioned this right now, but I recently started another business, which is like with my e-commerce. And this is something super exciting for me because it's like setting up pillars, right? Established something with real estate, and I'm tapping into my coaching business. I'm tapping into now what has been my Airbnb business, and I'm tapping into now e-commerce. These are all things that I not only have a passion for, however, I'm using the advantages of, overall the media to help me, the digital marketing to help me make sure that I'm scaling everything as best as I can and overall staying on top of it, because one of me and not managing things properly can definitely burn you out. And that's the last thing that you want. Now, with that being said, we are wanting to ensure, like I mentioned to you, that you are really finding things that really call your passion. So I'll give you an example. For me personally, I have a team of agents. It's something minor right now because I really wasn't trying to just bring anybody on board. I wanted to really grow with people that thought the exact, like, believed in the things that I believe in, which is like just trying to grow, pay it forward, overall, put in the work for you to overall grow. However, at the same time, I didn't just want to have people in the business that were not going to be actually selling. And I've seen that happen with so many brokers. They have agents in their company. The agents do not sell. And the brokers are super happy at the fact that they have over 100 agents, but yet half, if not more, are actually not eating, right? They have to have a job. So for me, I really wanted to be in alignment with providing value. And as you're able to really get very, very clear on where you want that end goal to be, it's going to be easier for you to achieve that end goal. Now, I'm going to leave you with the last and final tip, and I will give you a quick little bonus at the end, which is going to be right now the staying informed and adapting. Now, staying informed is super important because if you don't know what's going on with your industry, you're never going to really tailor to your niche. Not only that, but you don't deserve their business because you're not really having their best interest in mind. You're just doing it for the money. You're not really worried about how it is that it's going to affect them because if you are the expert, then you are going to be somebody that is going to want to make sure that you're taking care of them as best as possible. And by staying aware of everything is going to really play a huge, huge factor in your success. And that goes hand in hand with adapting, right? So as I used the example earlier, somebody can sit here and say, I don't want technology until they turn purple. But the reality is that technology is here and it's not going anywhere. It's only going to keep evolving. So by you getting comfortable with that and saying, you know what, I don't really like it, but I'm going to make an effort to go and get a course and learn more about how to make YouTube videos or how to use AI or how to, set up a correct funnel, whatever it might be. Now you're in a situation where you are adapting to the market. And I've always heard the saying that says adapt or die. And although I, definitely have mentioned to you guys, I don't like using negative words. I mean, that's the reality of it. Either you adapt or you're dying. And it doesn't have to mean actually physically dying, but to the viewer's eyes, you're done, finito, right? They're going to go for somebody else that's more advanced, that's actually putting in the work to ensure that they're staying on top of whatever it is that they're looking to grow or whatever it is that they're looking to establish, right? When it comes to the services that you are offering to them. Now, with that being said, those are the 7 key components. So I'm just going to recap them for you guys. Identify your niche, develop a business plan, learn financial management, build a strong network, leverage digital marketing, embrace failure as a learning tool is actually one that I forgot to mention. I want to tap into that really quickly. Nothing is ever a failure. Everything that happens in life is actually going to be something that's going to teach you a lesson. It's either a lesson or a blessing, is what I've always said. So, whether it's a lesson because it's teaching you something or it's a blessing because you were able to take something out of it, it's always a win. So, don't allow one no to stop you from the yes that you are literally inches away from, because every no is going to get you closer to a yes. And by you embracing failure instead of letting it break you, I promise you, you're going to be 10 times more likely to succeed. I could have said my first year in real estate, you know what, this is just not for me, which a lot of people made me feel that way. And I said, no, like this is something that I have a passion in. I want to do it. I want to pursue it and I'm going to move forward. And I'm happy to report that I've been one of the top performing agents in my field. I am constantly growing. Now I'm looking to scale this to take it internationally because I would love to coach more agents to do the exact same thing that our team is doing. But at the same time, if I would have allowed fear and failure to just taken over, I wouldn't be able to even talk about these things because it would just still be a dream, right? So being very clear on the fact that it's never a failure, it's always just a lesson is going to help you dramatically. And lastly, staying informed and adapting, right? As we talked about, making sure that you're actually giving your clients overall the best experience that you can and taking care of them is truly going to pay that forward. So, with that being said, I hope this helped. If you guys have any questions, please let me know. And I want to leave you with a quote today, and it says, "If you must doubt something, doubt your limits." And this is by Bob Proctor. And let's dissect that for a quick second. If you must doubt something, doubt your limits. So don't doubt the possibility of you being able to achieve whatever it is that you're looking to achieve, but doubt your limits. Doubt the fact that you're doubting actually achieving something and say, you know what? Why don't I actually doubt the fact that I am having a limiting belief? Like, what if this limiting belief is just nothing? What if this limiting belief is literally holding a golden plate right behind it? So be very intentional with whatever it is that you're looking to do. I am wishing you much success if you are going to embark this journey of being an entrepreneur. And at the end of the day, remember you are a walking manifestator and you can absolutely manifest anything that you desire. I hope you have a fantastic day. Thank you for lending me your ear, and I will talk to you on the next one.